Now, here we are in Hyde Park with a black people in this country that have a bad reputation. How did we get that bad reputation? Well, many of you who see black people, you see us darkly, or you see us with a prejudiced eye. The word prejudice, within the word prejudice, you have the term to prejudge. Prejudice, to prejudge before actual facts.
Go ahead.
And so you see black people and you make a judgment on us without any actual facts about us.
Listen up.
Now let us deal with your prejudice and the actual facts.
Go ahead, my brother. Go ahead.
How did we come to be here in England today?
Ask the question.
You see, in the year 1555, a man by the name of John Hawkins, a great man according to British history. He's a man whose name you can find all over the halls of power in this nation. John Hawkins was commissioned by Queen Elizabeth I
Listen.
to take a ship named Jesus. Now you know the naming of ships is a very important thing. When they give a ship a name, it's not for conjecture. They give the ship a particular kind of name, like Titanic. The one that they boasted, not even God could sink it. It was so huge they called it Titanic. It was a titan of a ship. They named it after one of their ancient gods. A titan that was unsinkable.
Go ahead.
So when you call a ship Jesus, it is not an accident that you put a name on it like that. Because who is Jesus? Jesus, you say, is the Son of God. Jesus, you say, was a great and holy man, a prophet of God who walked the earth 2,000 years ago. Jesus, you say, you are expecting the return of. Jesus, one who came into the world to redeem people of their sins. Jesus, a good man. So you call the first slave ship Jesus. And then John Hawkins came into Africa. He lived among our people for 20 to 25 years, studying our ways, studying our mannerisms and the way in which we operated. And he had a plan in his mind. The black people, when John Hawkins and other Europeans came to Africa, the black people saw these strange looking people coming. But when we saw you coming, being a strange looking man, a pale man, we didn't turn around and say, oh, look at that pale man, let's kill him. Look at that pale man, let's discriminate against him. No, we open our arms to you. We said, welcome, stranger.
That's right.
You may look different, but you got two legs, you got two arms, you got a mouth and eyes and ears like us, so you must be another human being. You must be a member of the human family. And so we welcomed you in to our places of abode, into our villages and hamlets, and into our towns and cities. And you went to work, watching, observing, looking at the way in which we live, until you felt that you had sufficient information to make your move. And then John Hawkins and those with him made their move. The move is called, in the popular language, divide and rule.
Right.
Divide and conquer.
Go ahead, Muhammad.
They began to whisper among the different chiefs and leaders in the world of Africa, and to divide one chief against another, divide one village against another, divide one people against another, with a specific plan in mind. They gave one set of people a gun. They gave another set of people a Bible. They gave another set of people some alcohol. They gave another set of people some beads and some other trinkets. But the principle and the idea was divide and rule, divide and conquer.
Teach, Muhammad.
They got one chief against another. Got one chief now, bought him to allow him to begin the process of capturing his own people, to enslave his own people on behalf of Europeans. This system was firmly established in Africa, and black people began to be captured in chains, locked into dungeons and castles on the coast, particularly the west coast of Africa, ready for transportation on the ship named Jesus and other ships into the so-called New World, into England, Bristol and Liverpool and other ports all up and down this nation.
Go ahead, Black man.
They brought slaves right here into London.
Go ahead.
They took the slaves into the Caribbean, into North America, a newly captured land from the Native Americans, the natural people to that region.
That's right.
And they began systematically moving black people out of Africa in chains. And this process was the start of what they called the Atlantic Triangular Slave Trade. Now, during that process, see, many of you European people in particular, when you hear this, you know, to you it's really so irrelevant to the current particulars and details of life. You really can't see no connection between yourself and the historical reality of what your foreparents did to my foreparents. But we're going to show you today that today is inextricably linked to yesterday.
Break it down, Muhammad.
And that yesterday is linked to today, as today is linked to tomorrow.
Go ahead.
And you cannot separate that reality, because it is in that separation that you fool the masses of the people into not appreciating why black people are in the condition that we're in today in the Western Hemisphere. Now, the history of slavery is a very deep and vast one. We haven't got that kind of time to go into the details today, except to say, and suffice to say, that, you know, many of you don't realize what happened to black people. You don't appreciate, you think slavery was some haphazard thing that just kind of unfolded, just took place, and there was a few bad apple Europeans who partook of the slave trade. That is a complete error in understanding. The reality is that slavery at one point in time was the means for monetary gain and the building of all of the European cities of this world. All of it was built on the back of slavery.
Go ahead.
It was the biggest industry.
That's right.
In the 15th, 16th, and 17th century. Slavery was one of the biggest, if not, it was the biggest means of income, source of income to Europeans. It was massive.
Go ahead.
It dominated all of European trade.
That's right. Go ahead.
That's why all the ships were built. That's why all of the adventures going into the Far East and going into Africa and going into the eastern parts of the earth were conducted.
Go ahead.
For more and more wealth, more and more spices, more and more minerals, more and more slaves. This was the motivating factor, because it became so beneficial. Now, what did they do to make us slaves?
Break it down, Muhammad.
Did you know that when they captured us in Africa and they chained us and they brought us on a westerly course, according to their own captain's logs of the slave ships, the slaves died so quickly and the slaves died so numerously on the slave ships that the sharks in the Atlantic Ocean stopped foraging for food in the wider ocean and would just follow the slave ship, because the slaves will be going over the sides at such rapid intervals
Think about that.
that the sharks didn't have to go and look for food nowhere else. There was a vast source of food coming from these slave ships. That's how our people died on the ships coming over. We were shackled like sardines. We defecated on one another.
That's right. Listen up.
We were sick on one another.
Go ahead, brother.
We urinated on one another.
Right.
We got so ill that some of us died from a disease they called melancholy. We actually died from sadness. We were so distraught and destroyed in the holds of those ships that black people died from sadness.
Listen.
Muhammad.
You imagine being so depressed that you literally die. Your system ceases to function because of the oppressive nature of this slave trade. When they got us to the Western Hemisphere, those of us who survived, when they got us to the shores, the first thing they did was they forced the black man to copulate with the black woman.
Go ahead, brother. Teach.
He had to have intercourse with her whether she wanted it or not. And he had to do it whether he wanted to do it or not. He did it under threat of being immediately dispatched or killed by the slave maker. Once the women became impregnated en masse, the slave master then took it to another level. When the women were pregnant, sometimes 7 and 8 months pregnant, or just before the time for the birth of the babies,
Teach on it, brother. Go on.
they would bring the black women out into a courtyard.
Listen up.
They would select between 1 and 10 women out of hundreds who were pregnant. And the slave trader, the slave maker, the slave master
Listen up.
would tie the woman to a tree.
Teach Muhammad.
There were many, many different devices that they used. This is one of them. He would then get a large knife or a small sword, and he would cut the woman from the sternum bone in the chest right down to the bone just above the top of the vagina,
Teach the truth, Muhammad. Go ahead.
causing the stomach to be completely open and the unborn child to fall out of the womb of the woman onto the ground.
Listen.
The woman would then witness the slave maker take his boot and stamp the head of the baby into the dust,
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
forcing all the other women who were pregnant to observe this, to watch this. Those women would be in such fear and terror. The vision from their eye would be transmuted in the brain, and the brain would send a message of pure adrenaline fear into the rest of the unborn children already in the wombs of their mothers. They were doing a scientific making of a slave. Our children were to be born with fear already inbuilt in them. Fear of the Caucasian, fear of the white man, the slave master, fear that was being engendered in the very unborn fetus.
Go ahead, Muhammad.
As soon as these new slave babies were born, the fathers of those children would be put to death, and the mothers of those children would be put to death. Why did you kill the mother? Why did you kill the father? The slave trader was using science. He knew that once you kill the mother and the father, there would be no one to pass on the mother tongue. There would be no one to pass on the father's name. The mother tongue and the father's name is crucial to the growth and development of that child.
Go ahead.
And so they wanted a baby to be born into the earth that would have no mother and father guidance, would have no idea of its roots, origin, history, language, culture, father's name and mother's tongue.
Teach, Muhammad. Go ahead.
They wanted an empty vessel that they then could impose on whatever they wanted to impose on that empty vessel. And so they began. The slave master, the slave trader, and the slave maker. And so they wanted to have a situation where they could then turn around to those slave babies and instruct them in who they were. And so they began to teach black youth, black children, black slaves that you, black man, you, black woman, you are nothing. We found you in Africa with a bone in your nose,
Go ahead, bro. Go ahead.
swinging through the trees.
Go ahead.
And we, the great white master,
Liar.
came to you to help you out, to do you a favor in your savage condition and bring you Christianity, bring you civilization, bring you to the Western Hemisphere.
That's right.
And so you should be grateful to us, Negro. And they coined the phrase Negro. I'll explain to you what that means in a minute.
Listen up. Break it down, scientists.
Excuse me, sir.
But they destroyed these black people systematically and then taught them who they were. Nothing at all, contributed nothing to history, did nothing to warrant respect on the planet. And then they told us, when you speak to us, I'm talking about Caucasians.
Come on.
You who refer to yourself as white people, you force the black man and the black woman to refer to you as massa, master. When you force another human being to call you master or massa, what you have done is that you have made yourself a god besides God. The word massa or master means Lord, means God. You set yourself up as a god besides God and force black people to bow down to you and worship you.
Go ahead. Teach, Muhammad.
You said, and we have it, documented history. You said that slavery was compatible with Christianity.
That's what you said.
I'm going to say it again.
That's what you
Go
said.
ahead.
Say it again.
Say it
I'm
again.
saying it for those black people who are so wrapped up
Listen
in
up.
Christianity.
Go ahead, brother.
You need to know who taught it to you.
That's right. Go ahead.
You said that slavery and Christianity were compatible. The slave traders and the slave makers were, according to their own words, good Christians.
Go ahead. Went to church.
After they finished decapitating, raping, lynching, castrating, and murdering black people in the name of slavery, they went to church.
Good teachings, Muhammad.
And the man they pray to is the same one that it gives you today to put on your wall at home. This is the reality of what black people have come through. You made slavery compatible with your religion. You saw nothing wrong with it. It was disallowed for anyone to give instruction to a slave. No slave should be afforded education.
Right.
We were not allowed to read or write. Imagine this. For over 300 years, black people were denied the rudiments of fundamental education. You took away our name, our language, our culture, our God. We were not allowed to play our drum. We were not allowed to call on God in His name that we knew from our antiquity.
That's right.
You totally turned the black man and woman inside out and upside down.
Go ahead, Muhammad.
And then you turned around and you called us Negroes.
What is a Negro?
And even to this day, there are many people who don't know the root of words, who think that Negro, the word Negro, has got something to do with the color of somebody's skin. No, it hasn't.
Break it down, Muhammad.
When you go into the Latin root of the word Negro, It comes from the term necro. The term necro means that which is dead or that which is neutral. You had senators all throughout the United States of America during the time of slavery. One senator in particular went into their House of Parliament, or the equivalent of their House of Parliament, and he boasted. That particular senator boasted. He said, "We have cut off every avenue of light to the Negro's mind. We have cut off every avenue of light to the mind of the black man."
What did he mean, man?
What does that mean?
Go ahead, man. Tell them, man.
Light. Light means or represents knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. The white man, the senator, the Caucasian was boasting that they'd cut off every avenue of light, knowledge, wisdom, and understanding coming to black people. And when you cut off every avenue of light, that means you have left the mind in total darkness. Darkness represents ignorance. And so we became an ignorant people. A people who you bought and sold. You swapped us like we were animals for a keg of whiskey or rum. We could be killed at a whim. The slave master would brand us in our forehead. He would brand us on our breast. He would brand us with a branding iron like you would an animal.
Hot iron, go ahead.
Having robbed us of our name, he then turned around and gave us his name. Why did you give us your name? Was it because you loved us?
No, sir.
Was it because you wanted to share in your wealth and in your prestige and in your society and in your culture? No, no, no. When a man and woman gets married, according to the tradition, I say that because nowadays it doesn't always work that way, but according to the tradition, when a woman marries a man, she discards her maiden name and she takes on board that man's surname.
Right.
Why does she do this? The taking of another's name denotes possession. When the woman takes the man's name, she is acknowledging that she now belongs to that man and that man now belongs to her. That's why you take another's name. Your Bible teaches you that a good name is worth more than silver and gold.
Go ahead.
That's why when you call something out of its name, it is a very dangerous thing to do. You must always call something by its name. Call someone by their name. The best sound to any human being is the sound of their own name. And you meet somebody and, they tell you their name, and a few months later you meet them again and you say, "Oh, how you doing, Roger?" Roger is very happy.
That's right.
Because you remembered his name. Roger feels important. And so when you take away a man and a woman's name and give them another name, what was the motivation? Why did you call us Smith? Why did you call us Jones? Why did you call us Green and Brown?
Go ahead.
And all of these names which have got nothing to do with our roots, with our culture, with who we are, our identity. You see, right now, today, you got the black man and woman, and he will go to China on holiday, on vacation, and put down his passport. And when he puts down his passport, it says, "Mr. Jones." When the Chinese immigration official sees that passport, and he sees the picture of that black face, and he looks up and sees the same black face standing before him, he says to himself, "Uh-oh, another one who doesn't know who he is." You see, when you hear the name Mr. Singh, you know you're talking about an Asian man.
That's right. Go ahead.
When you hear the name Mr. Wing King, you know you're talking about a Chinese man. When you hear the name Mr. Osaka, you know you're talking about a Japanese man. When you hear the name Mr. Brezhnev, you know you're dealing with a Russian.
Go ahead.
But when you hear John Smith, you expect to see some English Caucasian man, not a black man.
Right.
And so you gave us your name in order that we would lose our identity. And the second part of that is that you are making a statement to the world that these black people belong to you.
Go ahead.
And you still think you own us today.
That's right.
That's
Go
right.
ahead.
But my name is Muhammad today. You didn't give me that name.
Go ahead.
I've renounced your name. You know, those of you who are Catholics, before you can become a Catholic, you have to make a declaration. You have to announce publicly that you have renounced Satan. And I tell you today, with humility, I have renounced your name, Caucasian,
Go ahead, Muhammad.
because you are not my Lord.
That's right.
You are not my master.
That's right.
You have no right to name me. I have a right to be called according to my language, my culture, my history,
Go ahead.
and who I am. And you force black people, according to the depiction on Roots. He came and his name was Kunta Kinte. You see, Kunta Kinte tells you something about his language, his culture, his history. Tells you something about the fabric of his society. But when you beat him near to death in order to force him to reject Kunta Kinte and to adopt the name Toby, you named him after a jug. This is not his name. And so, this is a process that you took black people through. We're coming right up to date because we're trying to show you how we come to be in the condition that we're in today. And you cannot extricate yourself from the responsibility, present day Caucasians.
That's right. Go ahead.
Many of you stand here and you will say to us, well, I had nothing to do with slavery.
Oh, really?
I never done nothing to black people. And then some of you go on to say, in fact, some of my best friends are blacks. Oh, really? Well, let's see how friendly you are with these black people, shall we? Because you're a hypocrite and you're a liar.
That's right.
You are a liar.
Teach, Muhammad.
You are no better than your fathers.
That's right. No difference.
Your Bible says that the sins of the fathers will be visited unto the children to the third and the fourth generation.
Jesus said that.
The Bible is dealing with pure mathematics. That was Jesus talking. And he knew what he was talking about. He was dealing with the law of cause and effect.
Go ahead.
You cannot escape today that which your foreparents did, and yet you have done nothing to rectify that which they did. You are waxing rich today, living comfortably today, on the basis of what your fathers did to my fathers.
Right.
We are suffering today on the basis of what was done to our forefathers.
Go ahead.
And until you address that issue and deal with that reality, then we will continue as we go into the 21st century, looking at potential race war on this planet.
That's right. Go ahead.
I'm going to say that again,
Go ahead. Say it again. Say it again. Say it
Go
again,
ahead.
man.
because many of you think that the issue of race is something of the past.
No, boy.
No, the number one issue that is going to come to the fore on this planet in the 21st century is the issue of race.
Go ahead.
Race is not going to go away.
Right.
And I warn you in the name of Allah, if you don't understand that while you have power within your hands to change that which your foreparents did, it is incumbent on you to begin to make that change now.
Go ahead.
Because you will rue the day that you stood back and allowed the evil that has been perpetrated to be compounded today.
Good teaching. Go ahead.
You need to appreciate that you have a responsibility to we, the current generation of black people, to change that reality that was instituted back then.